In a realm where mortality ends and eternal duty begins, the ancient Egyptian protector Anubis is forever bound by an oath to the deceased, ensuring their safety and fulfilling the promise of security with a vigilance that never sleeps.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Now, if you've seen, pretty much any mummy movie, you probably have this image of Anubis stuck in your head.
Right. The spooky jackal god.
Exactly. Menacing, black, the god of the dead you should probably be terrified of.
Yeah.
But it seems like a massive Western misconception. We're diving into a whole stack of sources today.
We really are. From the earliest myths right up to archaeology.
To show that Anubis wasn't some kind of boogeyman. He was more like the ultimate guide, the essential, really meticulous guardian who made eternal life actually possible.
That's the critical shift, I think. We need to understand him across, over 3,000 years?
Yeah, it's a huge span of time.
And our sources let us track how he evolves. We start with the really foundational pyramid texts.
Right.
Move through that amazing find, the Anubis shrine in Tut's tomb.
Incredible object.
And then see how his image was even adopted much later, right into the Greco-Roman period.
So it's a mission to understand not just the stories, the mythology, but his actual job, his function.
Precisely. Our goal is to unpack Anubis's true identity. He's the dutiful psychopomp, that's the soul guide, and he's the meticulous embalmer-in-chief.
Psychopomp, good word.
It is. And we need to clarify his, sometimes complex relationships with the other gods, especially Osiris and Set, which, like you said, Western stories just consistently get wrong.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Where should we start? Maybe with that image.
Yeah, the visual is so powerful.
He's shown as a jackal, or sometimes a man with a jackal's head, but the one thing that always strikes me is the color. It's always this deep, lustrous black.
Unearthly black, yeah.
But if he's based on a desert animal, shouldn't he be like sandy-colored? Tawny? Why paint him black, the color of, swamp mud?
Because the Egyptians were all about symbolism with color. The sources are pretty clear on this. The black isn't really about zoology, it's about divinity.
Okay.
That deep, rich black, that's the color of the fertile Nile silt. The good stuff left after the flood recedes.
So it connects him to regeneration.
Yeah.
Rebirth.
Exactly. Regeneration, rebirth, the very lifeblood of Egypt. But there's the second meaning too. Black also symbolized the preserved flesh.
The mummy itself.
The actual product of mummification, yeah. The body made eternal.
Wow, okay. That completely reframes him right there.
Mm-hmm.
He goes from being about maybe scavenging or decay.
Right, the common assumption.
To being the literal god of preservation and fertility. That's huge.
It absolutely is. And if you trace his origins, you see how important that preservative role was. Really early Egyptian standards, maybe back to 3100 BC.
Yeah.
They show a Khanid figure, but sometimes it might have actually been Weweh.
Weweh. Opener of the ways. Another dog or jackal god.
Kindred, yeah. A sort of related Khanid's deity. It's a bit blurry that far back.
So when does Anubis clearly emerge as, Anubis, with his own distinct role?
By the Old Kingdom, definitely. Around, say, 2400 BC, he's firmly established in the pyramid texts of King Unas.
Okay, and what do they say about him?
He gets these really specific titles, things that define his job, like Jemai Waiti.
Which means?
He who is in the place of embalming.
Right, makes sense.
And also, he who is upon his mountain, like a sentinel watching over the necropolis, the city of the dead, from the cliffs above.
Guardian role.
Exactly. And initially, it seems he was actually the chief god of the dead.
Wait, hang on. If he started out as the top god of the underworld, why did his role change later? Why did he become sort of secondary, still vital, but secondary?
That's where the big mythological shift happens. And this part is really interesting.
Okay.
As the Osiris myth grew in importance, the whole story of his death at Set's hands and his resurrection.
Yeah, super central story.
Well, as Osiris rose to prominence, Anubis's duties kind of shifted. He effectively ceded the throne of the dead to Osiris.
She stepped aside.
Not that he lost importance, not at all, but his function became more specialized. He became the technical expert, the embalmer-in-chief, you could say. He handles the process, the journey to Osiris.
So he went from being the king to being the indispensable master of ceremonies and preparation. That's quite a pivot.
It really is.
And just quickly, on the animal itself, you mentioned Khanid. We usually call him a jackal, but is that even right? I know scholars debate this.
Oh, they do. It's an ongoing discussion because Again, the Egyptians cared more about the sacred idea than precise taxonomy.
Yeah.
For ages, everyone assumed Egyptian jackal, but recent DNA work has thrown the African golden wolf into the mix. Genetically, it's actually closer to a gray wolf.
Interesting.
Some people even suggest an ancient type of hunting hound, but honestly, for popular culture, the image that really clicks is the pharaoh hound.
Yeah, you can see the resemblance, that sleek silhouette.
Exactly. It captures that elegant, upright form we see in the tomb paintings. Even if it's not the direct ancestor, it just looks like Anubis to modern eyes.
And we see that iconic image perfectly preserved in Tutankhamun's tomb. That Anubis shrine they found in 1922. That's got to be the most famous artifact linked directly to him.
It was an absolutely stunning find in KV-62. Howard Carter found it, and its placement was deliberate. It was behind the unwalled entrance to the treasury room, and it was facing west. That direction is crucial.
West, towards the setting sun, the land of the dead.
Exactly. So it was guarding the path to the afterlife and also protecting the really vital funerary equipment in the treasury, especially the canopic chest.
And the statue itself, I mean, it wasn't just a lump of carved wood, was it? The materials tell a story, too.
Oh, it's a masterpiece of craftsmanship. It's a life-size jackal lying down, carved from wood, covered in that symbolic black resin or paint. But the details, gold leaf on the ears, the eyebrows, the collar, around the eyes, showing he's divine, celestial.
Beautiful.
The eyes themselves were inlaid, bright white calcite for the whites and deep black obsidian for the pupils. Really striking, but the detail that always gets me, the claws.
What about them?
They are made of solid silver.
Silver, not gold. Wow, that's unusual, isn't it? Given how much gold was in that tomb.
It is unusual. That unexpected touch of silver, that sort of cool lunar metal, it tells you he wasn't just feared, he was deeply, profoundly revered. It's divine status in precious metal.
It really speaks to the resources they poured into honoring him.
Absolutely. And even the way it was wrapped up was significant. It wasn't just bare.
No.
It was covered first in this linen shirt, and the shirt had inscriptions dating back to Akhenaten's reign.
Akhenaten, Tutankhamun's predecessor, maybe father. That's a whole generation earlier.
Exactly. So an heirloom textile. Then over that, fine gauze, and then these beautiful floral collars made of blue lotus and cornflowers, still fragrant.
Incredible layers of history and ritual right there. And the statue was resting on a shrine, right? Not just on the floor.
That's right. A trapezoidal shrine. Carter called it a pylon in his notes. And it wasn't plain either. Covered in gleaming gold leaf.
More gold.
And decorated with powerful symbols. You had jed pillars.
Symbolizing Osiris, endurance, stability.
Yeah, correct. And yet knots, the symbol of Isis representing life. So endurance and life, guarding the way. The inscriptions on it even invoked his two protective forms, Emet, he who is in his wrappings.
Referencing mummification again.
And Kenti Senecher, which means the first of the gods' hall, or foremost of the divine booth.
So guardian of the sacred space. And this shrine, it guarded the treasury. What was actually inside the shrine itself? Was it hollow?
It was. It was designed to hold important ritual items. Inside, Carter found 4 small trays.
What was on them?
Little cult objects. Things like Phaenon's models of animal forelegs, tiny figures of the sun god Ra and the wisdom god Thoth, and some calcite cups that probably held natron, the salt mix used for purification and embalming.
Ritual gear.
Exactly. And there was also a larger compartment meant for the king's jewelry. Sadly, tomb robbers had gotten into that part earlier and disturbed it.
Shame. So a mix of ritual items, valuables, and symbolic protection. Now, speaking of protection, you mentioned Carter's notes. Wasn't there something about a magic brick found near the shrine? The whole curse of the pharaohs thing?
Yes, the curse. That story has roots right here. First off, the shrine itself was mounted on a kind of sledge like a palanquin, with carrying poles still attached.
So it was portable. They carried it.
It strongly suggests it was used in the funeral procession before being placed in the tomb. It was part of the journey, then became the guardian.
Okay.
But the specific curse narrative that blew up in the newspapers, that likely originated from a mud brick inscribed with a magical formula found right at the entrance to the treasury near the Anubis shrine.
So it wasn't some ancient malevolent spell, just a standard protective ward.
Pretty much. It was a ritual text meant to protect the tomb and the deceased. Part of it reads something like, "It is I who hinder the sand from choking the secret chamber. I am for the protection of the deceased."
Standard magical security system for a tomb.
Exactly. Real Egyptian magic, designed to keep intruders or harmful forces out. But, the press ran with it, sensationalized it, and boom, the Curse of the Pharaohs was born from this protective text.
Fascinating how that happens. Okay, let's shift from physical protection to spiritual guidance. This is where Anubis really takes center stage as the psychopomp, the soul guide.
Yes, this is perhaps his most fundamental role. He's the shepherd of the soul, guiding the deceased, guiding you, the traveler into the Duat, the underworld,
To face judgment.
to face the crucial test, the weighing of the heart ceremony. This happens in the Hall of Two Truths. Anubis's job here is absolutely central. He oversees the scales.
Making sure it's a fair weigh-in.
Precisely. He ensures your heart is accurately weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the feather representing truth, justice, cosmic order.
Does he have any say in the outcome? Or is he just making sure the scale is balanced?
He's the impartial regulator. The sources stress his diligence, his meticulousness. He ensures the process is fair, true to Ma'at. He doesn't judge guilt himself, but he guarantees the mechanism of judgment is perfect.
And the stakes are ultimate.
Couldn't be higher. If your heart is heavy with sin, heavier than the feather, it means you're unrighteous. Your soul is then devoured by the monster Ammit.
The devourer, yeah.
And that's it. Annihilation. Oblivion.
Yeah.
So Anubis's careful work is what separates eternal life from eternal death.
This whole idea of guidance, it must have been deeply embedded in their religious texts, beyond just Anubis.
Oh, absolutely fundamental. The Egyptian word SSM, it means to guide or guidance. It appears constantly in texts like the pyramid texts, the coffin texts.
Which are essentially afterlife guidebooks.
Exactly. They're full of spells and instructions detailing how various gods the Eye of Horus, and very often Anubis would SSM, guide the soul of the king, or later anyone, through the dangers of the underworld.
Protecting them, showing the way.
Ensuring safe passage, protection from demons, successful navigation to reach Osiris, and resurrection. Anubis's role as psychopomp is the direct, almost physical embodiment of that core religious need for guidance.
And his importance didn't fade away, did it? Even much later in the Greco-Roman period. You mentioned finds at El Salamuni.
No, he remained incredibly important, though sometimes depicted a bit differently. At necropolises like El Salamuni, dating to Ptolemaic and Roman times, we consistently see Anubis, often alongside Ma'at and Hathor.
Doing what? Still guiding?
Still guiding. They're shown leading the deceased person into the court of Osiris for judgment. But El Salamuni offers this really unique kind of complex insight.
What's so different there?
It's the only place we know of where the tomb scenes show the guiding deities leading not just the deceased, but also these distinct black silhouettes.
Black silhouettes, like shadows, what do they represent?
It's debated, but they seem to function in a dual way. These black figures, sometimes looking a bit like the deceased, sometimes more generic, might represent both the blessed soul and its opposite, the condemned, the stubborn enemy, the forces of chaos that need to be overcome or judged.
So Anubis is guiding both the person and this representation of their potential failure, or the evil they resisted.
It seems that way. It makes a judgment scene incredibly layered. He's shepherding the potential for salvation and maybe also the potential for damnation, maintaining divine order over both outcomes. It's a powerful visual of the totality of judgment.
That is complex. Okay, let's wrap things up by tackling that biggest misconception we started with. The idea that Anubis is somehow evil, like a Hades or even a Satan figure in Western eyes.
Yeah, that comparison just doesn't hold up against the Egyptian sources at all. They vehemently reject it. Anubis is all about order, careful preparation, justice, even benevolence.
He's a good guy.
Fundamentally, yes. The real destructive force, the god of chaos, disorder, violence. That was Set.
Right. Set's the one who murdered Osiris.
Exactly. Set murdered and dismembered his own brother. Anubis's job, in a way, was to fix Set's horrific act by inventing embalming to put Osiris back together. He counters Set's chaos with order.
And the family connection is tricky too, isn't it? Wasn't Set sometimes named as his father?
Some early myths did cite Set as his father, which adds a layer of drama, definitely. But later myths, especially the ones focused on the hugely popular Osiris story, shifted his parentage.
How so?
They made Osiris his father, conceived with Nephthys, who was Set's wife.
Okay, complicated family dynamics there.
Very. In that version, Nephthys has to hide the infant Anubis from Set's rage, and he ends up being raised by his aunt, Isis, Osiris's wife. This retcon, if you like, firmly places Anubis on the side of Osiris, Isis, and cosmic order, distancing him from Set's chaos.
It emphasizes his loyalty to the good side. So let's summarize the division of labor then. Anubis and Osiris. The two great gods of the afterlife. What's the final clear distinction?
Okay, boil it down. Anubis is the god of transition.
Transition.
He handles the journey to the afterlife, the physical preparations, embalming, wrapping the mummy, the initial rites, and that crucial first stage of judgment, guiding the soul, managing the scales. He's the process guy.
Okay, and Osiris?
Osiris is the god of resurrection and the ruler of the underworld. He's the destination. He's the king of the afterlife, where the worthy souls, the ones Anubis ushers through, get to live eternally. He's the ultimate judge and sovereign.
So Anubis gets you ready, gets you through the door, ensures fairness. Osiris is the king welcoming you into the kingdom.
You've got it. Anubis is the meticulous preparation, the journey, the rites of passage. Osiris is the final state, the resurrected life.
So he truly is that essential, enduring guide. He who is in his wrappings, safeguarding the body, shepherding the soul, ensuring justice. It's an image of profound order and care, completely the opposite of some dark, chaotic god.
Absolutely. And you know, that image of the trustworthy, orderly guide, it really resonated. It traveled far beyond Egypt's borders.
How so?
We find images of Anubis appearing in Roman contexts, in stone carvings, for instance, in places like Pompeii. Sometimes he's even shown wearing a Roman soldier's tunic.
Really? Anubis in legionary gear?
Yeah, still acting as a guardian, a protector, but adapted into their visual language. It shows his core function as a guide and guardian transcended Egyptian mythology. It tapped into something more universal.
Which really leads to a final thought for you, our listener, to ponder. When a god like Anubis travels so effectively across cultures, across empires, shifting his look from, say, a funerary jackal on the Nile to something resembling a Roman soldier, does that core belief, he represents the belief that some divine presence watches over and guides us on that final, terrifyingly unknown journey, does that become less about specific Egyptian myths and maybe more about a fundamental, universal human need, a need for guidance when facing the ultimate mystery?